Good evening, 49er faithful. Here we are headed into Sunday Night Football. We have got your pregame edition, and we are bringing you a live 49ers mailbag at the same time, getting you hyped for the game and answering your questions all in one place. For those of you that are not familiar with the mailbag episode, and in combination with a pregame, as no one is used to, the mailbag will go back and forth between a few of the previously submitted questions that I have gotten from you, the viewers. And for those of you that are here live, you can ask your questions right there in the chat. Just do me that favor and type in @Rob before your question so that I know you're talking to me and not back and forth to one another in the chat. I appreciate all of you that are here in the chat. You create the vibe of this show. I appreciate it. If you're watching now, do me that favor of hitting the like button. Talking to those that have been here in the chat, Raphael 5629ers, Sneakerhead here on the channel coming in to say, what's up, Rob? Sneakerheads and everyone. Randall Riley was watching that Cowboys-Packers game. He says, and we can now add Prescott throwing a pick in the end zone. Wow, it's not just Jimmy. I can't believe this. LMAO. NorCal Refrigeration and HVAC coming in. Jeff Wilson Jr. with a huge game today for the Dolphins. 143 total yards. McDaniels is the guru. McDaniel is phenomenal. I mean, Mike McDaniel, what can you say? The guy steps into the role as the Dolphins head coach, sure looks to be the part, on top of being a phenomenal human being. I'm here for it. Same thing for Jeff Wilson Jr. He gets my passion because of the way he appreciates and plays the game of football. Team Cali coming in to say, man, I'm happy for Jeff Wilson Jr. The Stivers Niners 209 show coming in. CJ Gray is here. The Raiders just lost to Jeff Saturday. LOL. Sean 951 Niners is here and making the prediction 38-13 Niners. Shane AZ 49ers Empire coming in to say, let's go Niners. I'm excited for all the energy here in the chat. Kevin coming in from Glasgow. Kevin, good to see you, man. I appreciate the communication. Kevin coming in as a sneakerhead here on the channel. Just got a fantastic email from Kevin. Looking forward to writing him back. He says, my prediction is we score 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals, them to score 1 touchdown, 3 field goals, 27-16 49ers. People sleeping on Brandon Ayuk should watch out. Think he'll get an overdue score. Bosa gets 2 sacks. I want to know what you guys think about Brandon Ayuk. If I set the over-under here at 70 yards, are you taking the under on Brandon Ayuk or are you going over 70? If I'm going with George Kittle and I'm setting the over-under on 1 touchdown, let's say half a touchdown, you think Kittle gets into the end zone? That's my biggest question is, do Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, some of these fringe players, fringe talent players, fringe skill position players, now that you have Christian McCaffrey, the focus has to be Christian McCaffrey and Debo. You know Kyle Shanahan's going to be there. He cannot forget about Debo. He cannot forget about George Kittle. He cannot forget about Brandon Ayuk. I'm here with you on that, Kevin. Alan Elizer, Sneakerhead here on the channel coming in. Rob Schuh, I'm ready for the pregame show. Mailbag, bang, bang, Niners gang. Let's go, Niners. Debo that like button. Appreciate it. Peter Lee is in the house. Let's go, Niners. Hey, Rob, fist bump to you. Appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it. Come on Friday. All right, this is our first, not naysayer, but coming in with a little skepticism. Come on Friday says, I don't have a good feeling about this game. Had Seattle won, the Niners would put up 60 and win and gain no ground. But now we can make up ground, have a bad feeling. So because the frickin' Seahawks lost, you're like, the Niners aren't going to be quite as motivated. I get that feeling. I understand it. Lycan 4647, Sneakerhead here on the channel, says the only thing that could make this day perfect is a Cowboys loss and a Niner dub. That is nice. It's always good to see the Cowboys lose. You don't want to take too much solace in another team's misery, but the Cowboys, forget about it. Forget about it. Big Ram, the 49ers fan in the house, says, Rob, why haven't the Niners thought about signing Schuh and Ndamukong Suh to help out the defensive line? I don't know. I keep saying if I run into the man at the Whole Foods by my house here in Portland, he lives around here oftentimes in the offseason or is here in the offseason. I know his folks still live in Irvington, just down the street from my house. I will let him know that he is wanted on the 49ers. Robert Pacheco here in the house says, Rob Schuh, it's been a while, my brother. Got to say what's up. Let's go, Niners. Good to see you, Robert. Absolutely love all of you that are here in the chat making it happen. Jason coming in to say what's up. I'll go over 55.5, but not 70. This is in reference to the Brandon Ayuk over under that I threw out there. 70 yards receiving. Where would you put it? Jason smashing the under. Shane AZ Empire taking the over on that. Spynick Danger doing the good deed, asking the folks to come in and hit that like button. All right, we've got the previously submitted mailbag questions that we are definitely going to get to. Those of you that are here in the chat, you have the opportunity to ask your questions live. So you just put in an @Rob and go ahead and fire off that question for me. I will bounce back and forth between the previously submitted questions and the ones that you ask here. Robert Pacheco coming in @Rob Schuh, doing that @Rob. As I said, I pity the fool that goes under on Brandon Ayuk. I like it. I pity the fool. Bringing in the A-team reference, always a win. Joe Sneakerhead here on the channel with the super chat coming in. 49er win and Seattle loss is even better. Yes, it is, because it allows the Niners to climb into a position where they control their own destiny in the NFC West. If they win tonight, they're just a half game behind Seattle. They then have the opportunity to play Seattle and knock them down, thereby taking command, and then just need to match Seattle's win-loss record going down the stretch. Okay, we will be getting back into the current questions. Again, if you're here live, you can ask me any of your mailbag questions in the chat by simply typing in @Rob. I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the previously submitted questions that came in. Don't forget that you can send your questions to 49ersmailbag@gmail.com whenever they come up throughout the week. But before I get into the mailbag, I am excited to say that we have gotten more submissions of people putting forth their pictures of them, family, friends, pets, loved ones, you name it. And we are here to celebrate that on this channel. So let me go ahead and get the first image up so that you can see. This one kicks off with Ellis 10. Ellis 10, Sneakerhead here on the channel. This is the 2019 postseason at the Minnesota Vikings game. Let me blow that up there. Absolutely. You and I were both there for that one, Ellis 10. I was absolutely in the stands for that postseason game against the Vikings in 2019. Absolutely love to see the enthusiasm there. And then we also have another great tailgate shot here of Ellis 10 and the crew for that game. So a big shout out to Ellis 10. Appreciate you sharing those photographs. I am all about seeing everybody and their people at the game, taking that positivity away. All right, this next one comes in from Derek. Derek and his family here. This one is an epic shot. I got to give credit to Derek and family. They got posted on the 49ers Instagram account. So as you can see here, this is directly from the 49ers Instagram account. Beautiful photograph of Derek and family. But he wanted to make sure to send in another one with the latest Niner faithful in the family, bringing in Landon into the next shot. Got to get that up here. Just great photographs here. I mean, a photogenic family taking quality photographs. I am all for it. We also have a recent one from this year coming from an away game. We have another sneakerhead here on the channel, Charles Alt coming in. Charles Alt the third, Charles Alt the fourth, and Jaden here at the Carolina game this season. That was a great road game to be at this year. Absolutely treasure that memory, being there as a family unit. Got to love it. All right, bringing in our next sneakerhead that we've got in here. By the way, this is a mix of people that are sneakerheads here on the channel and people that are just sending in their images. Definitely don't have to be a sneakerhead here on the channel to get your image up. But this is Alan. You know him. You love him. He was on the Sneakerhead call-in show yesterday. Alan, his wife, and their dog, Snoopy. I'm loving the inclusion of pets. This is phenomenal. All right, we got one more, and then we are on to the mailbag frickin' questions. I am hyped for it. All right, this is Leo coming in here. Leo with his wife and his son at Golden Gate Park. A phenomenal shot with the backdrop of the Golden Gate Bridge there. Leo was telling me his son is almost ready for his first 49ers game. I cannot wait to hear that you've gone together. I'm just here for this wholesome Niner faithful photos to lift my spirits. Please keep them coming. Remember that you can always send in your mailbag questions and your photographs of you, your family, your loved ones, your friends, your pets, celebrating the Niners, and we will get them on the program here. I'm thrilled to be doing it. All right, we want to get into the mailbag, and I appreciate those of you that are here live in the chat. Batman29 says, Rob, what's up, Rob? Did you watch the Bills and Vikings game? I did. What a phenomenal freaking finish in that one. I have to admit, I wanted to write off the Vikings as a team that wasn't as good as their record shows. Clearly, that is not the case. They are a balanced team. If Kirk Cousins can perform underneath the lights, maybe they have a shot. I still have my doubts. You get into the playoffs, you get into the high-pressure games. I wonder if Minnesota is going to fold. They look pretty legit to this point. Yes, they do. Andre Moore, sneakerhead here on the channel, says, Rob, can you get the NFL to send a Niners game down to Sydney, Australia? Man, I hope that I can get them to do that because I would absolutely love to have it. By the way, I saw this earlier, didn't get to it. Elvis, another sneakerhead here coming in from Australia. Elvis, great to see you. Also coming in from Australia. I'm going to do my damnedest to have the NFL put those games over there. But Elvis coming in. Hello, Rob. It's been too long, but it's great to see you back at it again. And most important, healthy. Do you think this is going to be a blowout? I think the D will get a pick six and Juice with a touchdown. I love the Juice prediction. Always like to see Juice getting the ball. I will say I don't think this one's going to be a blowout, and I'll talk about why in just a minute. All right, let me get into those previously submitted questions. Again, for those of you that are here now live, you can ask your questions simply putting in @Rob so that I know you're talking to me. First one coming in was from Raphael. Raphael asked, if Mitchell is ready to go, how many carries does he get on Sunday? I like how my Apple automatically capitalized carry as if it is a individual. Let me get that fixed. We can't have typos on the screen here, especially those caused by autocorrect. I mean, I'm not talking about carries possessive. I am talking about number of carries. All right, we got it in there. So if Mitchell's ready to go, how many carries does he get on Sunday? I seriously had to consider this one myself because in one of my fantasy football leagues, I've got Elijah Mitchell, who had been riding IR, thinking he'd be a great back half play for my team. And then obviously the acquisition of Christian McCaffrey greatly impacted my plans there. The best laid plans fall to waste. And yet I'm fine with it because it immensely improved our team. So I'm going to take that. I will sacrifice my fantasy team for the 49ers any day of the week. So how many carries should he have, assuming that he is healthy? I don't think he'd be playing if he wasn't. I'm going with a rotation of roughly 60-40 in carries when you take the total number of carries between Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. So I'd love to see Christian McCaffrey capped somewhere around 17 runs, somewhere around a range of 15 to 18. And then Elijah Mitchell would be the complement at roughly 10 to 12 carries with just a couple of carries going to Deebo Samuel. My fear is that Christian McCaffrey ends up around 23 carries to Mitchell at about 7. And that imbalance feels too great to me. That feels like Kyle Shanahan over-indexing into the new toy and not balancing this offense. I do believe it is the balance going forward that is going to make this offense so difficult to handle for opposing defenses. I do want to acknowledge that Christian McCaffrey is probably more durable than he gets credit for. A lot of folks, myself included, talk about the number of snaps that he should get. The reality is he's been handling a lot of snaps for several years. Yes, a couple of big injuries, but those are fairly isolated when you take the totality of his career. We shall see whether the Niners are cautious in the number of carries that they give to Christian McCaffrey or whether it is with reckless abandon that they go forward. All right, this next question coming in. Those of you here live in the chat, go ahead and drop your questions with @Rob. But this previously submitted question comes in from Leo. Leo says, how do you think Kyle should take maximum advantage of all of our offensive weapons? That's just it. This is the question. It has to be Kyle that takes the biggest step forward the rest of the season. The weapons are there. He should know what he has in Jimmy G. Is Jimmy potentially the weak link on the offense? Yeah, sometimes he will be. But Kyle absolutely knows Jimmy's limitations by now, and he needs to put him in the best position to be successful given his skill set. That's what good offensive coordinators, quality head coaches do. Defenses should have their heads spinning the rest of the way these 9 games. Just having Christian McCaffrey and Debo together should be enough to put up close to 30 points any given game. Add to that George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Kyle Juszczyk, Elijah Mitchell. Forget about it. That is so many valuable skill position players. This is the season where, quite honestly, I could be swayed to the dark side if Kyle doesn't get this offense cooking. What do I mean by the dark side? I mean that whole criticism of Kyle Shanahan not being an offensive genius. I've stood opposed to that criticism. I don't believe that to be the case. I do see the offensive genius. I understand why that label is there. I watch other coaches throughout the league copy what it is Kyle Shanahan does, borrow his ideas and build off of them. Has he had success recently? No, there have been some struggles. That's why I've started the clock. That's why this season, the rest of the way, absolutely feels like one where he has to get it going. It's simple for me. There really aren't any valid excuses if everybody stays healthy the rest of the way. This offense has got to cook. It feels like a season where the 49ers have pushed most of their chips in. Keeping Jimmy at the cost of millions of dollars against the salary cap proved to be the right move. Paying Debo instead of trading him away. That signals a team that says, no, we're on the cusp. We're not getting rid of one of our best players. Acquiring some key free agents. The 49ers may not have had the spending spree that some of us wanted because they ended up spending some of that money on Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, proven to be the right choice. They went out and got some big name free agents. Couldn't bring back a couple of key guys that maybe K'Wan Williams, you're regretting that a little bit. But hindsight is 20/20 there. You go in, you trade away a ton of draft capital for CMC. Again, a move that signals we believe we are close. All of these factors show a team that thinks they've got a legit shot this year. But for that to be true, for them to have that legitimate shot, the offense has to live up to its potential. What's that going to look like? Ball has to be spread around. The temptation will be to overuse Christian McCaffrey, but an offense built solely around him doesn't necessarily work. Ask the Carolina Panthers. They certainly tried to focus the entirety of their offense around Christian McCaffrey. You got to get the ball to all the big weapons involved. You've got to keep defenses guessing. Again, I'm looking for a 60-40 split of the carries between CMC and Elijah Mitchell after you take out the 3 to 4 carries that are probably going to Debo in any given game. You get that run total up beyond 30 carries, eat defenses alive with a play action game. This offense should be electric, but the key word there is should. We have to wait and see. All right, we got a couple more previously submitted questions, but I am going to get to your questions that are here live in the chat. So again, if you're here and you're typing in a question, please hit me with the @Rob or @RobSchuh just so that I know you are talking to me. All right, I'm bringing in Wardell MF here. Rob Schuh, I'm going to Mexico City. Boom. Are you going to be there? Where is Niner Nation watching football the Sunday before our game? My plan was originally to go to that game in Mexico City. I will say that the way things unfolded and the fact that I have an expired passport got in the way of making it out to Mexico City. So I still have 2 remaining road games on the books, and any playoff games that happen, I will be in attendance. Certainly going to drive my butt up to Seattle into unfriendly territory there and be cheering on the Niners, a very critical NFC West game. And then the New Year's Day game in Las Vegas, checking off that wonderful stadium in that debauchery-ridden city. I've been to Vegas a lot. Used to have to go there for work previously. Never done New Year's Eve in Vegas. I am going to guess that that is a bit of a shit show, ladies and gentlemen, with some phenomenal people watching. I'm all here for the people watching. Dr. Jaspreet coming in. Rob Schuh, the Niners players wearing Verrett shirts at the game. Maybe they would be playing for something extra. How do you think our cornerbacks will do against a talented quarterback and his great wide receivers? Great wide receivers is highly in question because both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are out tonight. However, people believe we're going to get after Justin Herbert. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I don't think that will be the case. I do believe Justin Herbert is a very dangerous quarterback. I'm concerned about this one. I believe the Niners have some success on offense, and this one feels like it's going to be a little bit closer than a lot of folks are predicting. Joseph 559 saying, Rob, the Niners defense is going to be shutting down everyone come postseason. It is so critical that they get healthy again, in particular, that Eric Armstead comes back. It would be wonderful if Javon Kinlaw made it back as well. My heart just goes out to the young gentleman struggling through injuries, and it certainly appears that this is going to be another season wherein he's battling that injury throughout the entirety of it. It's hard to imagine a situation where he comes back and is able to play with zero discomfort going forward. So I believe for he and Eric, you're looking at pain management, certainly for the plantar fasciitis, which tends to linger until someone has a solid 6 to 10 weeks to just take off of activity, which is not happening during the season. It's typically about pain management. Certainly Eric Armstead is a tough MFer. Age of strategy, says Rob Schuh. Niners win and Hawks lose. Let's make it happen. One of those two. Hey, let's not count out the freaking Tampa Bay Bucks. Did you see the look on Brady's face? Like, I don't know that you want to get that guy motivated and find him in the playoffs. I'm telling you, Brady can cook when he wants to. Elvis coming in the building, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, do you think this game should be a statement game? I'm expecting a 30-plus point game from our offense. I believe it is a statement game regardless of the outcome. Elvis, what I mean there is that this is a definitive notch in our belt about how far we're going to go in the back half of this season. If we come out and lay an egg in this one, I will be very concerned as to our ability to get into the playoffs and really make a run. If we have a dominating performance, assuming the offense does start to look like it's rolling, I'm going to feel pretty confident. After taking down a team like the Chargers, that will give me some serious momentum, some hope for the rest of the season. I definitely believe that this game will, tell us a lot about this team. Joseph 559. Rob, is Christian McCaffrey going to change his number? Was going to buy his jersey yesterday, but the shops I called didn't have his jersey because they don't know if he was going to change his number. I believe he cannot change his number mid-season like that. So because he came to the team, took 23, I believe the NFL has it set to avoid fans doing just that, buying the number and then having it changed mid-season. I believe once he locked in on 23, he was set there. So because the trade for Jeff Wilson Jr. happened after the acquisition of Christian McCaffrey, that prohibited him from getting that 22 jersey. Although you would think, had he wanted, Christian McCaffrey's got plenty of money. Dude's gotten a contract. Jeff Wilson Jr., more of a journeyman running back as far as how he's been paid. You would assume Christian could have come in and laid down a pretty large check for Jeff Wilson Jr. if he really wanted that 22 number. Players do that all the time. They buy it off of the player who had it. It's a sign of respect from the player selling it to the more well-known player. And it's a nod back in paying ridiculous sums of money to go ahead and get that jersey number. Never really made sense to me, but I get it. If you're partial to your number and you're a little superstitious or just a little stitious, that's all you need. Dr. Jaspreet says, Rob, going off to Thailand for 2 weeks. This is the last football I'm going to see before I leave. Come on, Niners. Send me off on a good note. We've had 2 weeks to prepare. Let's go, Niners. Dr. Jaspreet, I'm pulling for you. We all need this win. I'm telling you. Robert Pacheco doing the deed, saying, Rob Schuh, don't forget to smash that like button. I appreciate it. CJ Gray saying, hey, man, taking down the LA Chargers, to me, that's a respectable victory. I am on board with that, CJ. I think fans are overlooking this Chargers team. They're 5-3. They're 5-3. They have some big-time comebacks. Telling you, Justin Herbert is no slouch. Are his two wide receivers out? Yeah, they are. That gives us that edge. But I'm with you here, CJ. The big predictions of this game have me a little worried. The overconfidence. The Jason Verrett thing, though, brings me back in. That is the type of energy that if the players are truly carrying the sadness, the feeling of Jason Verrett with them into this game, they will absolutely destroy the Chargers, physically speaking. May not be reflected in the score, but I would assume that you will see them flying around, knocking fools out, that it will be a violent type of game if they are playing with that added element of, hey, this was Jason Verrett's time to come back and play against the Chargers, the team that frickin' drafted him, and instead he blows out an Achilles, a fourth major injury in the last 6 years. And he's such a well-liked, well-respected player. If the team really does rally around him, you could see a very emotional type of game tonight. Jaguayo 56, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, I just want us to get a good, solid win. Amen to that. A W. Regardless of how it comes out, I'm with you again on believing I'd like to see a clean game. I don't want to see a mistake-ridden game wherein we squeak out a W. Is that still a W? Yeah, absolutely. But Jaguayo, I am here with you that I need something that gives me confidence going the rest of the way. I need a team that looks confident, a team that plays confident, a team that can show the talent on this roster, can take advantage of another injury-depleted team like the Los Angeles Chargers. The best teams in the league do that consistently. They win the close games. They play in the closely contested ones without huge mistakes. Because in a game that's going to be decided by less than one score, one of those mistakes can be the difference between a win and a loss. CJ Gray, though, is taking the other side of it, and I respect it. He says, I don't care if the result is 3-2 as long as we win. Hey, man, a field goal against the safety, still a W. Still a W. Texas Niner in the house. Schuh! Texas Niner, welcome to the stream. All right, let me get back to a couple of previously submitted questions. This next one is less of a question and more of a statement, but I love the statement, so I'm bringing it in. For those of you that are here, like Texas Niner, saying, Niners, we got this, do me that favor, hit that like button so that more and more of the faithful can see this pregame before we start Sunday Night Football. All right, let me get into the previously submitted question here. This one coming in from Ern. Again, it's more of a statement here, but I love it. It says Niners are going 13-4 this season. Not a question, just saying, let's go. Big Ern McCracken. I am here for it. I am a big fan of Kingpin, thus the movie reference. Not a shot at all at the name. I love the name. And I want to say, I love this confidence. Let's be honest. This is entirely possible. I'm not saying probable. I am saying entirely possible. Maybe even plausible. Maybe plausible. If I'm honest, given the talent on this team, I think it's fair to say the Niners shouldn't lose another game if we are strictly looking at the roster itself. That said, I don't think that's going to be the case. The pressure builds as you go along on one of those long winning streaks. And this team just hasn't shown me that it's capable of mistake-free football for extended stretches. Have they shown us flashes of amazing football? Yes, absolutely. This defense has blown our minds at points. And this offense, looking back at that Denver game, has had us flabbergasted. I mean, just scratching our heads sometimes. So I predicted the Niners finish the year 11-6 after predicting that they'd be right here where they are at 4-4 after the bye. Now, I'm not taking a victory lap because I did not get the games correct that they won and they lost. I got the record correct, but that's really only about 50% of the battle. If they are to get to that 11-6 mark, that means that it requires the Niners to go 7-2 down the stretch. I'd say even that is tough to do with a team that's prone to occasionally, or for the 49ers this season, more than occasionally, shooting themselves in the foot. I am going to stick with my prediction on the record. I'm feeling very good about the likelihood of that 11-6 mark. The Niners have a very clear path to winning the NFC West by simply matching Seattle the rest of the way and also beating them in the remaining head-to-head matchup. All that because of Seattle dropping the game today. But it starts up against the Los Angeles Chargers. If we drop this one, we have just given up the opportunity to climb in the rankings. Cannot afford to do that this season. Already have given up too many unfortunate games. To this point, at the halfway, 4-4 shouldn't be 4-4. All right, coming back into the chat to hit your live questions. We've got one remaining mailbag question, and we are getting close to the start of the game. So we'll be wrapping up our pregame session here, but any topics, any questions you want to bring to the table, now is that time. Do me the favor, hit that like button. Throw those questions into the chat with the @Rob or @Rob Schuh. All right, Dr. Jaspreet says, Rob, our defense is good, but they need to contain and be disciplined. Herbert is a master at extending plays and finding people down the field. Even if their two wide receivers are out, we struggle against these types of quarterbacks. Herbert is legit. I mean, the arm talent, the ability to have a defender immediately in his face and still get the ball out. It's uncanny. I've seen it several times where it just feels like the defender is already in Herbert's chest and he still manages with a little flick of the wrist to get that ball out of there. And that makes it very hard to sack the man. We will get into what my prediction here is in just a moment because we have a question from Raphael that sums just that up, Dr. Jaspreet. CJ Gray reacting to the prediction of closing out the season without a loss, says CJ Gray. He says 9 straight wins. I know it feels like a stretch. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but CJ, would you acknowledge that this team has the talent that it's absolutely possible? You look at the schedule, you look at this roster, if they play mistake-free football, if this offense gets cooking, if the defense stays relatively healthy now that they are healing up, yes, it does seem possible to me. Go here coming in. This one is the opposite opinion. I get it. 9 straight wins with Jimmy? No. CJ likes my prediction, 7-2. That gives a couple of games where, hey, maybe one is just you get flat out beat. Any given Sunday, a team can come out, whoop your butt up and down the field. They play better than you do. It happens for whatever reason. Maybe half of your team has a freaking flu. Maybe you just didn't have cohesive practices to end the week and you're off. Maybe it's a travel game, even though the Niners do not have many miles to go remaining in this season. There are any number of reasons you could drop a game. Add in on top of that a mistake-prone team, as we've seen the first half of this season. Again, feels like dropping a game here or there is entirely possible. Dr. Jaspreet coming back in. Rob, predict the 3 stars of the game for the Niners tonight. Anyone going to step up we haven't seen much of? I think Danny Gray is going to do something good today. Stay away from Derwin James, though. This one feels fairly clear-cut to me as to the stars of the game. I am going to say Christian McCaffrey continues to cook because I think Kyle Shanahan is going to continue to over-index a little bit. Debo is going to cook because this is the first game back where he's going to be able to take advantage of what defenses are attempting to do in holding back Christian McCaffrey. I see a very clear path for Debo to have himself a hell of a game. And then I'm predicting the third will be Brandon Ayuk. I think it's possible Kittle gets into the end zone here. I think he has himself a decent game, but 3 stars of the game, CMC, Debo, Brandon Ayuk. Texas Niner says CMC pickup is the biggest pickup. Mark my words, Christian McCaffrey will take us to the promised land. I'm here for it. Absolutely here for it. Kevin coming in, talking about some of those teams that stand in the way. Kevin says, yeah, Rob, I can see the Bucs and the Bills being a hurdle. Still think we'll get to the top of the board and reach the playoffs to see Jimmy G get a well-needed W there. I would not be surprised to see us up against the Bucs in the postseason and up against the Bills in the Super Bowl, were we to make it there. The Bills feel like a very legit team. I got to give the nod to Minnesota, the way in which they came back against Buffalo. Just wild. CJ Gray, I'm in lockstep here. Justin Herbert is elite. Yes, he is. Let me get into why I think he is elite and why I wonder if we are going to struggle a little bit. Talking about the last question that comes in here from Raphael. Raphael says, will the Niners complete the full LA sweep this weekend? So it is prediction time. My answer is yes. Emphatically, yes. We sweep all of LA, both their teams, 3 times. We will do it. But this game, while I believe it's going to be a tone-setting game for the back half of the season for the 49ers, I don't think we can take this one lightly. The Chargers, yes, are massively depleted. On offense, the lack of receiving threats with both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams out should keep the 49ers coverage unit that's now leaning on someone like Diamador Lenore opposite of Mooney Ward at corner. It should help even that out. The fact that the Niners obviously have been without Emmanuel Mosley for weeks, Diamador Lenore stepping in capably, certainly not at the level E-Man was, and the hope had been the return of Jason Verrett, which obviously took the turn for the tragic this week in him blowing out his Achilles. Just extremely sad. So the question becomes, can the defense start to get back to their early season form? I still believe wholeheartedly that this is a top 3 defensive unit, but they're going to need some dominant performances down the stretch in order to prove that. They could start against the Chargers, but the Niners, they're going to want to get after Herbert. Many people believe we are going to get after Herbert. With his ability to get that ball out quickly, like I was talking about, when a defender is right there in his chest, I'm just not sure I expect a huge sack total for the game. The Chargers have only allowed 10 sacks on the season. It is the lowest in the league. And they've been without their left tackle for some time, right? They definitely have some of their offensive linemen out. I attribute this lack of success in sacking Herbert to Herbert himself. The ability to be elusive, to slide outside the pocket, to get rid of the ball right before he is sacked. It is an uncanny ability, and I believe it comes into factor in this game. My prediction is this: the Niners get rolling early on, then potentially cool off a little bit in the back half of the second half of the game. I'd expect Herbert to then pick up some yards in garbage time and probably pull within a single score. So I see the final score within 7, but it's not going to feel that close. It's going to be one of those games where there's a little bit of like, you get that feeling in the back of your throat where you're like, uh-oh, is this going to get close at the end? But time will start to run out to where it's not a complete fear of meltdown. I'm going with the Niners winning 29-23 in this one. Cheers to a Niners victory against the Chargers. Come on, Niners. We need this one. Climb the frickin' NFC West ladder. Let me get to your comments here in the chat as we get close to kickoff in Sunday Night Football. Man, I'm telling you. CJ Gray celebrating good football. He says 2 overtime games, awesome Sunday of football, and even the morning game was pretty good. Yay, NFL. Every now and then the NFL has a spectacular day. I love it when it's in like the divisional round of the playoffs, the wild card round. When you just get 4 playoff games that are top notch, the NFL wins. The NFL just wins. Raphael 5629ers sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, the Chargers are a poor tackling team, and the Niners are a yards after the catch and running the ball team. It's going to be fun seeing the Yak Bros tonight. I hope Debo lights some fools up. I hope he trucks somebody. I want to see it. I love seeing Debo run people over. Texas Niner Coming in, Rob, my thing about Christian McCaffrey is Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey have a connection, and we only saw a glimpse of that last game. We'll see it again this game. It did feel as if it was a fairly instantaneous connection between Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey. He successfully dumped the ball off to Christian McCaffrey in a way we've not seen Jimmy Garoppolo really do in his time with the 49ers. I believe that's because of the special nature of Christian McCaffrey, his ability to catch the ball. He catches the ball much more like a star wide receiver than he does a running back. I absolutely believe that we will see a continuation of that connection between Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey. Kyle Shanahan really should lean into that if he knows what's good for this offense. Elvis says, Rob, the Cowgirls just lost, and pray to God we win and win convincingly. Hell of a day when you have the Seahawks and the Cowboys losing a game. I will take it. I will take it. All right. He said, Dr. Jasper says, Rob, no stars on the defensive side. How are we going to slow down Herbert? Defensive keys of the game. I think the D-line needs to ball out, or else I'm going to be super worried all game. If we're talking about the Niners, they are littered with stars on defense. Absolutely. And they're almost back to health. The loss of Eric Armstead, the continued absence of Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw is critical in the ability to stop the run game. But Austin Eckler, he's as dangerous as he is because of the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. And I do believe the return of Dre Greenlaw and Azeez Al-Shire, along with obviously Fred Warner playing at a very high level, will be able to contain Austin Eckler. So I'm less concerned about our run defense in this one, more concerned about it as we go forward if Eric Armstead does not come back. Raphael 562 Niners making the prediction 27-17. I like that one. I like it. J49, go Rob. Thanks for the insight. You are very welcome. Google account says, let's go. Let's go, Google account. Get that going. Ooh, Google account then comes back in to say, Rob Schuh, did you see Christian Watson go off? I did. I will say, I mean, I also watched him drop that one that looked like he broke his pinky on it, or at least hyperextended his pinky. He does seem to need to step it up on tracking the ball while it's in the air, in looking back at Aaron Rodgers instead of tracking the ball up in the sky. That seemed like a misstep, clearly irritated Aaron Rodgers a little bit, but you saw in the catch for the touchdown just how special his physical traits are. Andre coming in to ask, what happens when the scripted plays are all done? We get to judge Kyle Shanahan. We get to judge him because he's got so much talent on this team. CJ Gray saying CMC catching with one hand in pregame. That guy's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Kevin says, cheers, Rob, and all. Enjoy the game. Good JoJo for the next 10-ish minutes. Let's go. Good juju. I will take it. I'll take it. Let's do it. All right. We have reached the end of the show. We got about 10 minutes until kickoff. We want to get into pregame action. Do me that favor. Hit the like button before you go. And tune in after the game. I'm going to try to do a live stream wrap up after the game. Hopefully, a post-game celebration. Hopefully, we are talking about a W for the 49ers against the Los Angeles Chargers coming up on Sunday Night Football. Thank you for that, Raphael. I thought it was a fantastic show as well. Thank you for all of your contributions, whether you were here in the chat, whether you sent in your mailbag question to 49ersmailbag@gmail.com, or whether you sent me one of your photos of you in your Niner gear with your family, with your friends, with your pets, celebrating as the faithful do, in positivity, in camaraderie, and in believing in the Niners. All right, let's freaking go, Niners. We need a W tonight. Cheers to that. Until after the game, you know the drill. Cheers, faithful.